One of, if not the main reason why I started doing YouTube was because I lost all faith in the mainstream media. And I'm someone who has always kept in touch with the news. I'm someone who has always paid attention to the things going on in this world. And it all started around 9/11. 9/11 was a huge wake-up call for me. And I say that like I was grown, but folks, I was in the 5th grade when 9/11 happened. But even at the age of like 10 or 11, I already saw that, hey, something's weird here. And back then, kids would be excited to get out of school so they could go play video games and watch cartoons. And I would be excited to get out of school so I can go watch the news and see what was going on in Afghanistan and Iraq. And don't get me wrong, I still watched cartoons and played video games. But one of my favorite things to do, like my number one priority, was knowing what was going on in the world. I want to have a grasp, at least a better grasp than my peers at what's going on in the world. That was like priority number one. I'm going to catch up with what's going on, and then I'll get to my video games and cartoons later. But over the years, the mainstream media just got worse and worse and worse. And I've always been someone that's willing to do my own research. And I would look into these news stories and I would debunk them. And I would just notice that the mainstream media would tell lie after lie after lie. And as I got older, I would try to present a lot of this stuff to my peers and friends. And a lot of them were kind of brainwashed by the mainstream media. And it got to the point where the mainstream media just became nothing more than a propaganda machine. And I know some people will say, well, the mainstream media has always been a propaganda machine, and you're right. But there's no denying that things got way worse when Trump became president, or around the time that Trump started running for president. Things got way worse. They got out of control. Now, speaking of Trump, he actually mentioned in one of his speeches or one of his press conferences the other day that he's hoping that the mainstream media will get more honest leading up to the election, and that the mainstream media will tell the truth about Kamala Harris and her running mate, and they'll stop spreading as many lies about him. And I heard that and I couldn't help but kind of laugh, because we all know that's not going to happen. We all know that the mainstream media is going to get even worse. They're going to dial things up a notch. And that's kind of hard to believe, because how can the mainstream media get worse than it already has been? Well, folks, trust me, they're going to get desperate. They're going to get crazy over the next couple of months leading up to November. I really feel like we are going to see some wild behavior from some of these folks on CNN, MSNBC, and you name it. And I've been watching some of the election coverage here and there, and it's absolutely horrible and one-sided. Now, when you look at the mainstream media, a lot of people go there for news. When people turn on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, whatever news channel, people who aren't, entangled in politics and in the know about everything that's going on, they're turning on these news channels for news, not opinions, but actual facts. And they're not getting facts. They're getting a bunch of propaganda. Now, when you tune into a YouTuber like me, usually you're looking for a mixed bag. You want some facts and you want some opinions. And trust me, I got facts and opinions to give you. But I'll always try to differentiate between the two. Here's the facts and here's what I think about the facts. Whereas the mainstream media presents opinions as facts every day, nonstop, 24/7. And there's some of the worst opinions that you'll find on planet Earth. But when it comes to election time, it would be nice. It would be really nice if we could have a media that is not so one-sided. A media that doesn't make it so obvious that they absolutely hate one side while they prop the other side up. And knowing just how much they hate the other side, how can you really trust anything they say? It's absolutely blatantly obvious and apparent how much hatred they have for the right, while they'll make excuses for anything that happens over on the left. And watching their coverage of this election that is going on and these campaigns that are currently going on, it's just so easy to see that there is a difference in energy, there's a difference in coverage. It's just almost unexplainable. You just have to see it for yourself. So without further ado, how about you all watch this clip and see it for yourself? I want you all to see how the mainstream media has been covering Kamala's choice for vice president. And then I want you all to watch how the mainstream media is covering Trump's pick for vice president. You'll see the difference very quickly. Let's tune in.
Midwestern dad, like super clean cut vibe.
Everybody likes
right?
Walz.
So plain spoken and relatable. As moderate and independent as it comes.
Pretty moderate Democrat.
I always knew him as a moderate. One of the most moderate.
Very moderate record.
A new moderate.
I think this is the new moderate.
Far from progressive.
He's right down the middle.
He's not just an old white man.
Tim Walz beats America. You know,
Talks like a regular person.
Tim Walz is the opposite of weird.
Walz is basically younger Joe Biden.
Regular old Joe out there.
Populist approach to fear on the Republican side, and the happy populism. That Tim Walz is on the ticket on the Democratic side.
Walz is a kind of happy warrior.
Happy warriors. Happy warriors.
He was certainly the happy warrior last night and seemed to be the happy warrior last night.
A happy warrior, folksy backstory. Are going to be very happy warriors.
There is a new happy warrior.
Following the kind of happy warrior mold.
Happy warrior mentality.
Wicked sense of humor. Look how happy the pig looks. That's good.
And JD Vance is weird, extreme, and angry.
Utter humorlessness. The humorlessness and pompousness.
It's hard to believe that JD Vance could be any more extreme.
It's like a freak show of bros.
They have JD Vance, dark and ugly beneath the dignity of most politicians.
JV Vance.
JD is at the far extreme.
The most extreme.
Being one of the most extreme.
We need to recognize the danger.
Angry and mean and dark.
Cat lady hating sidekick JD Vance. This guy is really weird, y'all.
Everybody in America knows a JD Vance, but we stay away from him because he's weird.
Anger, chaos.
Hangdog ex-husband.
He was able to reach all the way down to a JD Vance.
Hope, optimism, joy.
Salt of the earth, Midwestern uncle vibes, the quintessential Midwestern dad.
Tim Walz keeps winning hot dish contests, apparently. There's some folksy charm. Tim Walz is so funny that if he's good at this, he will release a recipe for a hot dish.
All of his time on the ground, fixing F-150s.
Pops out of a Norman Rockwell painting, right? He's small town America incarnate.
Midwest, your uncle, your dad.
I have not been this happy in years. He's the guy who is always there to help you, whether it's changing your oil, whether it's fixing a lawnmower, or whether it's helping to fix our democracy. It feels so good to have hope.
And I'm going to call him the coach from now until Election Day.
Coach.
Tim Walz, the plain-spoken fun uncle who will defend the people he loves.
Proud, the resilient, the hardworking, patriotic.
Ice fishes. He's a hunter. He does butter carving.
Now, everyone has their own personal biases, right? There's no reason to sit here and pretend like we don't. The people on the news, the people watching this video, me, we all have our own thoughts and we all have our own opinions. Now, I feel like the mainstream media should be a place that we could go and not hear opinions. I just want to know the facts about what's going on. I don't want to know your version of facts. I don't want you to spin a narrative while loosely using facts. I just want the facts. Keep everything else to yourself. Now, obviously, when you come to a channel like mine, because it's YouTube, you understand that you're going to get more personal, right? You're going to get more personal coverage of a news story. But even me, obviously, I want Trump to win the election. I don't think that's a big secret. But even me, I'll sit here and tell you, and I've told you 1,000 times, that I'm not all the way sold on JD Vance. You don't see me sitting here gloating about how great JD Vance is, do you? But look at the mainstream media. They're gushing over this Tim Walz guy. They're gushing over Tim Walz for what? I've never heard y'all mention this guy's name before now. But now he's the best thing since sliced bread. And that's why I say, even when you come to a channel like mine, where there's personal opinion involved, even I do a better job than the mainstream media at trying to just be honest. I don't sit here and fake hype things up because, I'm desperate for you all to vote this way, so I'm going to sit here and pretend like I just love JD Vance so much. He's so great. Now, I'll admit, JD Vance is kind of growing on me. I've liked how he handled certain situations. I've liked his response to certain situations. But even if I did like the guy, even if I loved the guy, I'm not a person that's capable of sitting here and faking this enthusiasm and fake being excited, acting as if this is God's gift to man. But on the mainstream media, that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. At the drop of a dime, all of a sudden, everyone is in love with Kamala's choice for VP. Meanwhile, it's one thing if you just kind of play the middle, but you lean one way. No, it's totally one-sided, lopsided coverage. It's 24/7. Oh my God, Tim's so great and happy and joyful. Let's party, oh God. And then it goes to, oh, JD Vance. He's such a bad, weird guy. It's absolutely crazy. It's crazy, but it's important, as I always say, to show people stuff like this. Because we know how the mainstream media operates, but a lot of people are still caught up in the trap. A lot of people don't understand yet. So when you show them videos like this one, when you show the difference between the media coverage, maybe it helps them understand a little bit better. Maybe they'll catch on to the fact that, hey, there's an agenda here. And the agenda is obvious because the talking points are all the same. Every journalist, every news anchor, reporter, they're all saying the same exact things. It's not original thoughts. It's not original opinions. It's basically talking points that most of them have been given by the higher ups. That's why they're all using the term happy warrior. He's a happy warrior. When's the last time you ever heard someone say that in your life? Never. But now every news anchor and reporter across America all of a sudden is using the term happy warrior. And they're all just basically saying and reading from the same exact script. Then when they talk about JD Vance, their tone changes. It's like the room gets dark. It's all doom and gloom. And they're willing to talk about negative things when it comes to JD Vance. And folks, I'm not here. I don't want the mainstream media to protect JD Vance. I don't want the mainstream media to protect Trump. I don't want the mainstream media to protect anyone. I just want the mainstream media to actually do their jobs and report real news and do actual journalism. But we're never going to get that, folks. Those days are gone. And that's why someone like me, from the comfort of my own home, can sit here and do a better job than half of the news networks on TV right now. And, at least over on my main channel, I can pull more viewers than some of these news outlets. But all in all, this is what we're going to see more of moving forward. It's going to be lopsided. It's going to be one-sided. And they do this to give younger, more impressionable people the impression that, this is the popular way of thinking. You need to think like us if you want to go with the flow. If you want to go with the crowd, you got to think like us. Everyone else, they're the outsiders. They're the outcasts, right? But for now, let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell. And if you find yourself getting too worked up by all of this, remember, it's just political cinema.